Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome back to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Pepper.
And what are we doing for the third time today, Pepper?
Take 3! We are giving our first impressions on Merchants of the Dark Road.
Yes.
So this is one of those names for a game that I'm guessing got you excited. Just instant backed it, just hearing the name.
I don't know that it was an instant back, but it was pretty close because I think, I'm trying to remember, well, no, we wouldn't have had Honey Buzz back then. Maybe I'd seen Honey Buzz and was excited for it, and I just knew that Elf Creek Games kind of had really top quality stuff, like components, and their artwork and stuff is really nice. They just put out really solid looking games, and yeah, this one really had a nice look to it, a nice setting. I thought an interesting setting. It's because it's not. I don't know that I'd call it fantasy. That's probably what it would be, but it just kind of almost feels a little bit like in the middle of somewhere between real and fantasy, but kind of like a I don't know what kind of theme you'd call it, but
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. I didn't think that it was quite just like a fantasy type game.
Yeah. This is a game, if it didn't look like this, if it wasn't dark and snowy, I would not be interested at all. Just if this was basic, the original trading in the Mediterranean or whatever, which it could be based on the mechanics of the game, that would not be interesting at all to me. But they got Andrew Bosley to do the artwork, which I think his works. He's kind of got a smooth type feel to his artwork, and I think that works perfectly with kind of the dark and the snow and the glowing buildings and light.
Right, because it gives it. He still is able to give that kind of little bit of darker feel, but at the same time, it's not like a horror, scary type feel, and it's not like a graphically scary. Just because, like you said, it still has like that smoothness, and he does a really good job at giving those little bits of warmth in there with the touches of those types of colors. He did a great job of making it look like a game that once I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, I really want to back this one. And it was actually one that was on my, I think I backed it. I'm trying to think what year, like 2019 was it 2019 or 2020?
I'm not sure. It was a while ago.
Yeah, it must have been 2020. And then, in 2021, it was a game that I was most looking forward to, and then finally got it at the beginning of 2022. So I've been wanting to play this one for quite some time. It's been at the top of my list of I can't wait to play this game. So yes, I was definitely excited about it, looking forward to it. I think that one of the things that kind of drew me in was the thing that kind of reminded me of Rajas of the Ganges, which is one of my favorite games where it's not quite like that because you're not intersecting them, but you're getting two different types of scoring, and whichever one scores the lowest is kind of your score. I guess that's kind of like between two castles of Mad King Ludwig, but not
a little bit.
Not really.
Trying to balance that. But yeah.
But I thought, that was an interesting mechanism that we don't really have in too many games, so that also had me interested as well.
Yeah, I was interested just based on the look, and we played Honey Buzz, and when this started getting closer and closer, being Elf Creek Games, I was looking forward to the possible great components in the game, as well as Honey Buzz was a good game. I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't too hard, I guess I'm trying to say. And I didn't hear that this was like a super complicated game or anything, which I'm always worried about when you get super excited about a game. I'm like, oh my gosh, not another one.
But this didn't, like some of the games that I look at, I think you kind of probably know more are ones that are going to be harder. I guess this one, not that it's like simple.
I'm saying this one wasn't that. I didn't feel too worried about that.
Yeah, it doesn't quite give the same look as some of the games that I look at and possibly think about backing. No, it's not quite the same as some of them.
You can tell Bosley he's relatable. You can play his games. Don't worry. But yeah, so you were very excited. I was middle of the road.
The dark road or the light?
Moving on. We played it finally, and I guess What do you think?
We did play it, and you know, kind of in this part we usually talk about kind of what happens in the game and stuff. And the main thing that kind of you could talk about is like it's a rondelle where you're going around, and you can take kind of so there's little intersections in the road that kind of have two actions that you can kind of pick one or the other. So you could even pick the same action twice if you only moved one spot, because you could pick the action that was to the right of that road and then left of the road when you get to the next intersection. So that's kind of one of the big mechanisms is you're going around there and taking the different action spots in order to kind of, I think it's kind of a contract completion type feel to kind of the way of getting points,
So you're going
just
to
scoring in the game.
You're going to get people. You're going to get orders and get resources and sell them to the people for coins, which is one of the ones that you score at the end of the game that you're comparing against your prestige, I think it is. And you can go off and kind of bring those people to their destination and also sell those goods to those destinations for prestige. So everything kind of connects together pretty well in the game.
But yeah, it's mostly that. And then you're just trying to kind of keep your prestige and your coins somewhat close, depending on what cards you have too, because you can have some cards that can possibly get you coins or prestige or just victory points at the end of the game. So kind of keeping that in mind as well. You're just kind of trying to balance those things, and I think that's kind of.
I guess there is the dice kind of on your player board. You kind of have a pool of dice, and you have 3 slots, kind of core actions that you want to do, and you move one die up into one of the spots. Sometimes the number matters for kind of what, how powerful that action is, or kind of how you play it. And then a die that you bumped goes up to the top, and that determines your possible movement along the rondelle, which kind of is similar to Viscounts of the West Kingdom. I really kind of like how that works there. This one, I feel like Viscount's is a little more forgiving. You usually have ways to kind of skirt around it and zigzag. In this one, sometimes you get a 3, and it's like I want the next spot, and you can spend a horseshoe to move one forward or backward, but still, I feel like I don't think I enjoyed it nearly as much as in Viscounts.
I would agree. I would agree that it was a little less forgiving than that, because it seemed like in Viscounts I can usually get to where I want to go because I have multiple options and for cards. But here, if you want to take one of those 3 specific actions for a reason, you're pretty much forced to use that die. So otherwise, you could use one with a different value, but then you have to kind of take that other action instead. So it's like, are you willing to do that? And most of the time, it's not like they're the biggest things, but they could potentially matter. Because the one you kind of produce different items that you're using to either deliver or, pretty much deliver or deliver, depending on who you're delivering it to. And then the one you get to play an extra die. So if you have extra die, that's fine. But if you don't, then I guess it's just almost nothing, right? And then the other one, you can either get coins or move or adjust.
Yeah, it would get you a lantern if you don't have an extra die.
Okay. Yep. And then, you can... Oh, yeah, now I remember that. I forgot that. But, you can move the little dial a spot in order to kind of change...
That phenomenal magnetic dial.
That is pretty phenomenal. I do feel like that was a little less... quite a bit less forgiving than kind of how it works in Viscounts. I like how it works in Viscounts quite a bit better.
Yeah, I mean, there are not many options on the board, so you can wrap around quickly, and like I said, they're all kind of interconnected, and where Viscounts maybe you need something very specific and you need it now. In this one, you can usually delay it a little bit and just take another action, which will pay off eventually anyway. But still, there were those moments where you just couldn't get what you wanted at that time.
Yep. But so we played it. What did you think?
I thought I would like it more, kind of the games you had gotten, and maybe pre-ordered or backed. We have a couple coming, and I thought of those, I'd probably like this one the most. It is maybe a little thinkier than I thought it would be. kind of trying to figure out all the actions and what you're going to sell to who and kind of the price that good is going to be. The adventuring into the dark road or the light road, that wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be, kind of those events. And sometimes you pay like 3 lanterns to get the good light, which it gets you benefits at the end of the journey, like you get 2 special benefits instead of 1, but those cards didn't seem any more forgiving.
No.
Especially since, in that case, the leader chooses last.
And there's only 2 out of the 6 options that are good.
Yeah.
And in the Dark Road, I think it's half and half.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
I guess
which
we... Yeah.
I just thought that is not fun.
Right. Because, it did seem like...
And maybe with more players, more people would join in and you'd roll more dice.
That's true. That's true. We did play 2 players, so yeah, it could change that a bit. But yeah, we were typically rolling just 2, possibly 3 dice. And yeah, it wasn't the most forgiving. It was kind of funny because well, the one time that I did the light road, I ended up having to lose something because I had to spend 3 lanterns to go on the light road to begin with, so I only had 1 left because I had the max of 4. And I wasn't able, or I think I rolled a 6 and a 2 originally, so you got to choose first, you took the 6, and I re-rolled the 2 and got another bad number, so I ended up losing something, which kind of, I had not really thought about that in my plans, so it can kind of catch you off guard, I think, which I think is what makes it worse, or feel worse, because you didn't expect it. But then, too, the one time I went on the Dark Road, and
I joined you, and I had like 4 lanterns, and I didn't want to go on the light road after seeing your experience. So I'm like, and you can also use those to re-roll the dice as well. So you went on the dark road, and then the leader gets to choose first. I like that you can join along.
I like that.
No matter where you are on the board, you can join in if someone's going to a location.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes, that's awesome.
But, yeah, so you had rolled the dice, you got a good benefit for yourself, and there was 1 lower one. I'm like, well, I can just spend these lanterns and roll it. It's like a 50-50. I should be able to get something positive. And I think I have 4 lanterns?
You had 4 lanterns.
And I re-rolled 4 times.
And got, like
2 1s and 2 2s.
Right, I was going to say, I think it was like 2 1 1 2 or something like that. Or something. I was just like, I felt bad. I was like, he's spending all these lanterns, which are supposed to be, they're a little tougher to get, and they're supposed to be good things, and he's not getting any benefit from them.
Yeah.
He's actually losing something after using 4 of them, which felt, I was just like, I felt kind of bad, because I'm like, if he's going to be willing to spend that many on a 50-50 chance, I mean, it could happen in all dice-based games. And I would guess if you tried it again, most of the time, if you're rolling a total of 5 times, you're probably going to hit something good.
Yeah.
So it's not, it's probably just an anomaly type thing, where it just happened to be that way. Whereas like mine, where I only got 1 more reroll, and it was a 2 out of 6 chance. It wasn't as likely to happen for me. So it still felt bad, but it didn't feel as bad, because, I knew my odds weren't as good.
Yeah.
But... yeah, that part was a little, I don't know.
Because, when I was reading the rules, because I didn't know much about it, and I was reading that, I'm like, oh my god, that sounds so fun, and possibly even epic. Kind of going on those events, flipping it, rolling the dice, choosing. So I got really excited for that, and it was disappointing, I would say. That.
Yeah, I think the fact that most of the time when I was going, I didn't... One of my cards was to get 4 different animals, and there ended up being 2 of them that the first one got stuck where the extra die. So if you take the first animal, you get an extra die roll. But I needed to get to 4, and you don't do many on your own. So I'm like, well, I have to just keep taking a different one. So, and I already had that first one, so whenever I went, I was only rolling 2 dice. So like you said, maybe with more players and whatnot, you're getting more dice to roll. So. That could definitely give it a little better feel, but I feel like when you're only rolling 2, it's not quite that exciting, or as exciting as it seems like it could be. But
yeah, and like you said with the lanterns, like they're decently hard to come by. Like I'm trying to think, I don't remember everything in the game. You can get them through that action, and what else? Where else can you get them?
You get them when you get those people. When you sell to those people, sometimes the bonus is a lantern or a
that's
horseshoe.
right. Yep, that's right.
So I think that's kind of the main area where.
Oh yeah, and
we
when
got
you
'em.
get some of those endgame scoring cards as well.
Yep.
But yeah, I feel like that and kind of the crystal.
Yes.
The crystal, kind of which activates the bonuses one-time use on the animal cards, which I thought again that'll be neat.
Yeah, I was
but-
looking forward to that.
But you didn't get a single crystal in the
didn't
whole
get-
game, and I got one.
Right, and I had four of the animals, so I didn't get to activate any of the 8 actions on any of them because I
Yeah.
never. I mean, I could have went for them, but
Yeah.
it just seemed like I would be going out of my
There's,
way to get them.
Like 13 actions in this game you get, and it just feels so out of the way to go and get upgraded resources maybe because you have to go. That's the same area as the venturing out and delivering things, which you get points for that. But if you go, you can instead go to a common area and get upgraded resources, and there's other ways to get it as well.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah, there's
Then you-
definitely ways to do it, but it just
yeah. And then you can use those to sell to the people, which will get you, I think, an extra coin for every one of those you do, and one of those crystals, which were just, I don't know, we've only played it once, but
Right.
for us
Yeah,
it felt
yeah.
like not worth the time or
Right.
the effort to go and do that.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll be interesting in future plays. I think the next play I'm gonna try to see how if I'm intentionally trying to go get some of those crystals.
Yeah.
Kind of how that plays out because it just never really came up. Like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this, then this, then this, but never in those plans did I ever be like, well, I could upgrade that and then do that.
Yeah.
I mean, but maybe I could have.
I mean,
I don't know. It could have been.
I guess there's that one cart upgrade that lets you, when you buy them, you can
Yes.
get upgraded resources. So I think if you get that, you can kind of focus on that strategy as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that's what
I
I
wish
was
it was a
thinking.
little easier.
I agree. That was a little probably the other disappointing thing in there because I had those animals and I was looking forward to I didn't think that I'm going to easily be able to activate all of these powers, but I thought I would be activating a little bit more. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I think the Dice Tower had a playthrough of this. Or someone that I was watching, and they were able to activate like 3 or 4 times. So maybe I'll have to look back
Yeah.
and see how they got those. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe they did have that
Yeah,
leg and
and-
upgrade, or maybe they were just upgrading.
Because
the things.
they're one of the things when you can get illuminated dice, and that will pretty much allow you to take 2 actions if you
Oh, yeah.
use that action. And when you do that, you get to activate an additional kind of third bonus, which I think some of those gave you crystal as well. But it's again hard to come by those dice, and you have to go and deliver most of the time to get those dice. Which
And that was one of the times on the when I did go on the one time I went on the light road, I did end up taking 2 of those dice, and
yeah.
I felt like that was probably the difference maker between
Yeah,
our final
'cause,
scores.
I mean, that's an extra maybe 1.5 action just for using that.
Yeah,
Which
and I felt
saves you so much. I mean, they've been only 13 turns to get that.
Yeah, and I felt really satisfied when I did use those actions and was
Yeah.
able to do 2, because I was able to combo kind of those areas well together, and I think I could see that being a thing in the future, and that's something I really like too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
I wish they showed up more often.
I know
I really did. Like maybe one every round or every time you reset your pool, maybe or something.
right. Yeah. I'm kind of
'Cause
surprised. Yeah, that,
I really love that concept of being able
I
to do that
I
and
like
get
that as well.
I think that's kind of the whole feel for the game. I love so many of the concepts, but they just weren't executed how I was expecting or how I wanted.
Yeah,
And maybe with more plays, it'll get better.
right. Yeah, I think I definitely had to try this one a few more times because there's just some things in it that, like you said, I think first impression I think I'm giving this one a 7. It's not like one that I'm like really, really, really excited to get back to the table, but it's also one that I do want to get back to the table. It's kind of
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle, because like you said, I really like a lot of the things in the game, but they just don't. Some of them just don't feel like they pay off the way that they
Yeah.
should, or
Yeah,
they
and
just
the
don't really.
End game cards, like for scoring, are just very small amount of points, and it's just like,
Mhm.
Usually endgame cards maybe we've been spoiled with like Bunny Kingdom where they can
Right.
store huge amounts, but
Right.
it just felt so underwhelming, some of those.
But yeah, I really like you said, I really like that you can join people on the trips. I think that's an awesome mechanism. I wish I can't really think of any other game that uses something where you can join people on a expedition. Now that I think about it, I feel like another game does that, but I don't know what it is. But yeah, I really like that. I do like how how you're trying to kind of just fulfill the different types of contracts, but at the same time, I felt like they were also hard to get. But I feel like I went on the dark roads, or I went traveling more than you did.
Yeah, I think a couple times more, for sure.
But it just felt sometimes a little tough to even get the people and the contracts that you had to get, because you'd have to stop at those actions to do those. So, but yeah, I'm still excited to try it some more. But I don't know, maybe it was the 2 years of wanting to play it too that like put it way too high of expectations in my head. It could have been because it was. I think it was like the top game that I was looking forward to playing last year, and so maybe it was just too high of expectations possibly. But yeah, I think it has a lot of cool ideas in it. And I'm just not 100% sure if it actually flows together well.
Yeah,
works.
I think I'm going to end up right around that with a 7, maybe a 7.25. I mean, it looks really good, although, and you would think the insert would be great, but half of the insert is phenomenal. It stores the components and the tiles, yeah, for sure, and the other half, I would say, is too perfect. There's a very specific spot for everything, and it is way too much work to put it in there. Like, you have this little map token, and it's like 3-4 inches down into the bottom of it, because there's a little nook there for it, and I'm just like, that's just too much.
Yeah, it's a tale of two inserts. I have no idea how those two were put in the same box, because that one feels so great, and that one just feels so bad. It's like you have some of those, and it's like, it just takes longer. It's almost like I'd rather throw this in bags, and this one, I'm like, I don't even know. It's hard to know where the stuff even goes. Like, at least for some of those that are hard to do, you know where the stuff kind of goes. It's just a matter of getting into those specific spots. Sometimes it's hard. This one, it's hard to do it, and it's also not very clear as to, because it's so wonkyly weird. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's almost spoiled by that other insert, because that one is awesome. It's
it really is.
one of the best ones I've seen as to how it kind of all closes together. So I just don't know what happened.
So we got the upgraded version, which comes with actual little lanterns and crystals, which is over the top but cool. And I think even the retail version has the foil on the upgraded pieces. I think that's actually in every version. Which I don't know if I'm a fan of the foil. I don't think it really meshes with the colors on the tiles as well, and if you're not looking at it from the right angle, foil will just look dark, which I think I would like kind of a frostier gold, bright color, which I'd seen in kind of an earlier prototype, and I'm like, oh, that looks really nice, similar to the flip side, but the foil is still nice, but...
Well, to be fair, I never upgraded any of my items, so I didn't really get to look at that on my board, so I don't really know what that looked like.
I mean, it looks good, but you lose a little bit of the detail, I think, when you just go foil. But I mean, that's just a little thing. Overall, it's great looking game, but a little disappointing to us overall for gameplay.
But yeah, I think as a game it still works, so I'm definitely willing to play it some more. Just, I was hoping for like a 9 or 10, but 7, kind of just middle of the road, average, kind of hoping to play it some more times, but not necessarily like I gotta show this to everyone that I know and play it a bunch of times type game. So as of right now, anyway, maybe after a few more plays, maybe it'll be up there. So if you made it this far in the video and like what you saw, give us a thumbs up. If you If you want to see further or additional first impressions or other videos that we put out, definitely subscribe and hit the notification. But otherwise, we hope to see you on the next one. And as always, don't forget to
Keep on nibbling.
on our content.